What if stormtroopers could aim? Stormtroopers were bad at aiming. Darth Vader knew it. The Inquisitors knew it. Everybody knew it. And they were sick of the instructors. They decided that they would get bounty hunters to teach shooting. And this was by the time of the New Hope. The stormtroopers had failed several times. They had failed to kill the Jedi Ezra Bridger, and they barely killed Kanan Jarrus. And it wasn't even stormtroopers that killed Kanan Jarrus. And the mighty stormtroopers were not that mighty. So they hired bounty hunters and Mandalorians to teach these stormtroopers. The bounty hunters and Mandalorians refused until they heard about the pay. The pay, 500,000 credits per rotation, which was so much per rotation. They needed the stormtroopers, and Mr. Unlimited Power could get unlimited money. Training was tough. Only the strongest would survive. The weaker ones would die. And ever since they were cadet, they never went easy on them. They were going tough and tough and tough. And Palpatine was getting impressed seeing the results. By the time of the New Hope, when Vader boarded the ship, Vader told the stormtroopers to go for stun, but they never did. As I said, the training was tough, meaning the bounty hunters taught them no mercy. So, instead of stunning Princess Leia, they killed her. Vader was displeased and killed every single stormtrooper. Vader was still super powerful. None of the stormtroopers could beat him. Vader reported this to the Emperor, and he told Vader, "Mercy is not the way, but if you insist, Vader, I will have a little discussion with these bounty hunters." Obi-Wan felt this. He couldn't die yet. He had to get Luke, and he had to train him in the ways of the Force. He couldn't die until Luke was properly trained. He was saddened by Leia's death. So what he would do next was probably one of the worst things he did. He took R2-D2 instead of R2-D2 leaving, because at this time R2-D2 and C-3PO escaped. He took R2-D2 knowing that Luke would follow. Luke did, and he planned a trap with the Tusken Raiders to make Raiders, not radars. Imagine there were Raiders, and to make it seem like Obi-Wan was the hero when he was not. He was the kidnapper. Luke thanked him, and Obi-Wan started to introduce him to the ways of the Force. Luke was fascinated, but said, "I have to get home to work," and he told Obi-Wan basically, "I'll take you to Mos Espa or somewhere, but I can't leave Tatooine." And basically Obi-Wan says, "Whatever the Force tells you, Luke," or whatever he says in New Hope. It's been like a month since I watched New Hope. I loved Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars. I'm focusing more on that. I like the prequels the most. I don't know about you. Comment down if you like the prequels the most. Alright, I'm off topic. So anyway, the disintegration happens when Darth Vader orders the disintegration of Beru and Uncle and Owen. I hate Uncle Owen so much. Comment down if you hate Uncle Owen. I absolutely hate that man so much. Even though he did it for Luke's sake, he was so protective. I would have disintegrated him myself. I think that's a little too violent, but yeah, I would have done that. Basically, Luke says, There's nothing left for me here. I'm ready to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father before me." And Obi-Wan pats Luke on the back, takes him to Mos Espa. Basically, everything happens the way it does, but except when they get to the stormtroopers, they're not weak-minded, and Obi-Wan is forced to fight. He fights all of them. There are more waves coming, so they have to escape in a ship somehow. So no Han Solo. They'd have to go and steal a ship. They stole a small ship. It was a low-class ship, but it was the best they could do. and Luke flew it. It was smaller than the Millennium Falcon, but large enough to hold the both of them and have enough space for them to move, and enough for the droids. Also, they had to head to Alderaan and finish the mission. It would take a lot longer to get there because they were not in the Millennium Falcon, and Alderaan would not be destroyed because Princess Leia was dead. They had no leverage against. They had no leverage, and also Obi-Wan revealed Luke about his past. Luke was a little upset at Obi-Wan, but understood the circumstances. Obi-Wan lost his lover, his family, his father figure, and Anakin killed Anakin killed his almost 99% of his family. Satine and his father figure he did not kill, but he killed everybody else. The plan would be different this time, since they didn't have to rescue Princess Leia. The plan would be to destroy the Death Star. It had no shield, but there was just one starfighter again. There was just one ship against the whole fleet, and this ship was slow, barely had any shields and weapons. Obi-Wan decided they would need to go and find the rebels. He contacted Senator Organa, and he said to meet him on Alderaan, which they did, and they devised a brilliant plan. Obi-Wan was a very old man, but very powerful. He would distract everybody, taking out all their attention, while Luke would fly in undetected, and he would blow up the Death Star. Obi-Wan knew that it would be his time tomorrow, where he would become one with the Force. He enjoyed his last day. He taught Luke as much as he could, and he promised Senator Organa that he made Senator Organa promise that he would always take care of Luke and watch over him. Senator Organa agreed, and he made Senator Organa promise him one more thing, that Luke would go to Dagobah to finish his training in case it didn't work. Obi-Wan went on the Death Star, caused a distraction, took out hundreds of stormtroopers, but there were too many and they had good aim. One shot his shoulder. Well, Obi-Wan's defense was getting neutralized, and he was not as strong as the Force as everybody else. He only got this strong because of his hard work, and he was getting old. He knew that his time would be up soon, so he took a risk. He used a Force projection. I mean, he didn't use a Force projection. He used a mind trick, like not a mind trick. Like he used the Force to contact Luke in his mind, knowing it would be a risk, telling Luke to hurry. Luke was in a hurry. He got this message somehow. He thought it was his imagination, but he hurried up. There were several TIE fighters coming at him, and Vader came to confront Obi-Wan. Their duel was fierce. Obi-Wan was stalling, and he didn't want to kill Vader. He knew Anakin was there deep down inside of him. He gave up on Anakin. He gave up on Anakin on the outside, but inside he knew Anakin was still there. And and Luke was taking out every single TIE fighter with the help of his team, and he needed a perfect shot, and he wanted Ben to read his mind. He didn't know it, but he was using the Force out of desperation. He told Ben to get out of there, and Ben said no. He said, "This is my time. I will die with every single stormtrooper on here." Luke cried, but shot, and Luke blew up the Death Star. Soon, Palpatine got news of this, and he sent the best stormtroopers who fought like crazy, and Luke was in danger, and everything was gonna change. And along with the stormtroopers, Sidious, or Palpatine, whatever you want to call him, he sent out the Grand Inquisitor because he found out it was just a kid, thought the Grand Inquisitor could easily take him down. Meanwhile, Luke was in shock. What had he done? And he felt horrible. But then he heard a voice, Obi-Wan, and he said one word, Dagobah. And Luke didn't know if this was reality or imagination, but he remembered the Force and thought maybe this is the Force speaking to me. And he set his course to Dagobah and informed Senator Organa right before. Obi-Wan's ghost spoke to Yoda. Yoda was sad, but also happy that Obi-Wan was free from his burdens and everything. And Yoda, after a long debate, said yes, he would train Luke in the ways of the Force and would wait for his arrival. Meanwhile, Palpatine asked the Grand Inquisitor how the hunt was going, and the Grand Inquisitor said, I can't find them. And that was because Dagobah was the dark side planet, meaning the dark side flowed in that planet. So even if a Jedi went there and used the Force, Palpatine and the Empire would not be able to trace it because of the dark side presence. So Luke and Yoda were safe. Luke was not tested by Yoda this time because Luke had no idea why he was going to Dagobah, because he was just a beginner in the Force, and he just started using it. So Yoda told him that he was Obi-Wan's friend, and that he was Grandmaster Yoda, the head of the Jedi Order. And Luke was shocked. He asked about his father, and Yoda told him everything, everything about his father and the Jedi, and it was nice. And Yoda was telling him that it's time for him to train, and that he will help him communicate with Obi-Wan again. And the training began. Weeks, months, years all went by. Luke became more powerful each day. He specialized in Form 4, and he had to use the forbidden method to make his lightsaber because the Empire was getting control of kyber crystals. So he formed a purple lightsaber holding the dark side and the light side within him. And I said Form 4, right? He specialized in Form 4. His lightsaber hilt was curved but heavier, so it would be elegant, but each hit would be more powerful. And Luke found peace, but he also felt anger. And Yoda trained him differently. He taught him to embrace the anger, but not let him consume him. And soon, Luke was able to talk to Obi-Wan, and they helped him train more and more and more. And soon, he was ready. Yoda and Obi-Wan decided to test him first. They knew about the threat on Luke because of Obi-Wan. So the task was to eliminate the Grand Inquisitor and his forces, which they knew Luke could do easily, but they just wanted to test him. At this time, the Grand Inquisitor was on Kashyyyk trying to find Luke still because the Emperor was threatening to kill him. And soon Luke met him, and the Grand Inquisitor was overjoyed. He still thought Luke was weak, so he decided to just toy with him. But soon he found his true power and pulled out both his lightsabers and started attacking him. But Luke was just testing his abilities, and soon the Grand Inquisitor did the spinning move, and Luke just destroyed his lightsaber by putting his in the center. And soon he killed the Grand Inquisitor. But hundreds of the best stormtroopers came, and Luke just defeated them in less than 2 minutes. After his success, Luke went back to Dagobah to find a sick Yoda, and it wasn't that long, but Yoda was getting super old, and Luke decided to let him go. But he wasn't sad because he could still talk to him. If he needed advice, he could see him still. it was just the same. Then Luke decided to go confront the Emperor. They were building the Death Star. They were building Death Star 2, the second Death Star, and it was hard because of the shield, but Luke got help because of Senator Organa. That a small team helped destroy the shield generator. And Luke was down there with them to help. It was very fast when Luke was there, and then he took his X-wing and went. The Emperor sensed it and smiled. He decided to test Luke's abilities. He set stormtroopers on every single level, and on the level right before him, those are his personal guards, which were super powerful, more powerful than the Grand Inquisitor, in fact. And Luke was taking out waves after waves after waves after waves, and he was destroying every single person in sight, and also the droids. I don't know why he destroyed the droids. He just destroyed the droids. I don't know why. And he destroyed every single one of them. Oh, and if you're wondering about R2-D2 and C-3PO, and those Senator Organa had the droids. So, yeah. Anyway, back on topic, he was taking out every single waves and finally got to the guards. But there's a twist. With the guards, there were Starkiller's clone, and Luke easily just took down the guards. But Starkiller was a challenge, so Luke had to embrace the dark side. He hurled objects at Starkiller, but Starkiller was just dodging them. Starkiller was powerful, very powerful. The Emperor sensed this, and he was smiling. But Luke did not give up. He embraced the dark side so hard that he crushed that room from the inside, and Starkiller got destroyed. But there was a hole in the ship, and Luke was running out of air. Because, as I said, he destroyed that room. So he had to use a force method that Yoda taught him, and he barely survived that. But his next step was the Emperor, and judging by Starkiller's power, he knew the Emperor would be even more difficult, so Luke had to come up with a plan. Luke knew that he would probably die, and there were X-Wings coming to destroy this ship. And they had very good pilots and would do it quick. So Luke would either try to stall Palpatine or Sidious, and try to kill him. Luke was going to embrace the dark side harder than he ever thought. He made sure that it didn't consume him, but he used it to his advantage. But before Luke went to go confront Palpatine, he reached out to Obi-Wan and Yoda quickly, and they were comforting him, and they taught him one final thing. They taught him Force Judgment, which was basically Force Lightning, but like a little weaker. But they thought this would at least help Luke a little bit. Luke went and confronted Palpatine, and Palpatine tried to shoot Force Lightning, but Luke blocked it using the Force, and Luke shot out Force Judgment, which Palpatine barely blocked. Palpatine saw his power and tried to manipulate him, but to no use, so Palpatine used the lightning again, but Luke used his judgment against him, but the Force Lightning was too powerful and hit Luke. Palpatine pulled out both of his lightsabers and started laughing and attacked Luke. Because if you're wondering about one of the lightsaber that fell out of his hand during his fight with Mace Windu, he had a third lightsaber. Luke got up and fought him. It was a fierce duel, and Palpatine was winning. but they both sensed that the Death Star was going to be blown up soon. And Palpatine was trying to fight Luke and run away, but Luke made sure he didn't. Palpatine knew that there would be no escape with Luke fighting him, so he wanted to end this quickly. Palpatine was a master of all 7 lightsaber forms and decided to use Form 3 right now to attack Luke. And Palpatine was on the defensive, waiting for Luke to make a mistake, but Luke made no mistakes. So he switched to Form 5. Form 5 was difficult for Luke, but he managed barely. And Palpatine's strikes got stronger and stronger and stronger. And Luke knew that he would probably lose this duel, but he kept going long enough for the Death Star to explode. And soon they heard something. The Death Star was blowing up. Palpatine tried to escape, but Luke used the Force. Used the Force to block him. And when he saw the fire, he threw Palpatine in it, burning him. And Luke knew that he would die, so he became one with the Force and disappeared from his body. And that's it for today.